our number one guiding factor in all of our decisions and all of our choices is asking the question, does this action maintain or increase my communion with the Lord, my ongoing connection, my spiritual connection with the Lord, or does it break that, or maybe even worse, would this action actually lead to a spiritual connection to something other than the Lord? In this new life with Christ, we thrive in this life as we're in direct communion with the Lord. His life is poured into us, and his peace and his strength and his direction and his power is poured into us. And when that gets cut off, it's not. And so then we're just left alone to our own devices. And so Paul's saying, listen, make every choice based on keeping that communion going. Now we're going to talk about how you live it out. Like if you understand, okay, all of my actions, I have to first judge by, do they continue this perfect, if you will, this pure sense of spiritual connection, this communion with the Lord. Paul's going to finish the chapter now with how we live that out horizontally. Do what's best for others in every situation. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 23 says, you say, added by the NLT from context, you say, I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. Paul's talking about the things that are okay for you that maintain your spiritual connection, your communion with the Lord. You have freedom to do that. You have liberty in Christ to do that. You say I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. Again, you say I am allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. So now it's not just, do I have a freedom in the Lord to do this because it will not impede my ongoing communion with the Lord, but now is it right that I do it? If I can, should I, or should I not? Paul used the same opening back in chapter 6, verse 12. Now he's using it for his example of eating meat that's been offered to idols. And he's saying, yeah, of course. Of course you're allowed to eat meat that's been offered to idols. It's a neutral thing, but should you? Yeah, of course you're allowed to eat meat that's been offered to idols, but is it beneficial? Not for you, but for someone else. Is it right? Even if we're allowed to do something because it passes the does not break our communion with the Lord test, it's not the final answer, because rule 2 is how does it affect the people around us? It's clearly written in 1 Corinthians 10, verse 24, very clear, rule 2, don't be concerned for your own good before the good of others. Don't be concerned for your own good before the good of others. Let's review the 2 rules, because that's learning. Repetition's the mother of learning. Number 1, maintain your communion with Jesus at all times. Number 2, do what's best for others in every situation. Verse 24 says, don't be concerned for your own good before the good of others. So if you're personally free to do something, if there's no conflict between you and the Lord, then you've got rule 1 down. Now you have to say, okay, what about the people around me? Is this best for the people around me?